Hello everyone, today I would like to talk to you how to use a keyshot. Keyshot is really common and useful software. It's a lot of industrial designers try to use it to create to render some industrial products. So don't talk too much. I just show you how to use a keyshot. So let's start it to click the file, and if you want to create a new file, just click in new. You're going to open a new scenario. The difference between an input and open is the input is trying to import a model into existing scenario. That scenario already included the model in it. Open, you could totally open a new file. So open recently is going to show in some models you recently modified. And the save and save as, you could save the file into a KSP file. And in the save package, you're going to save the file into a BIP file. So that means both KSP and a BIP file has the model attached to the materials you attach it, and include the environment lighting you already cite in the scenario. You could also try to input your model into an OBJ file, STL file. So in edit, we could edit some basic geometries into the scene. Let's try the basic cube. The hotkey is Ctrl+A. So in that scenario, we already created a cube. In here, you could see a gimbal in the center of this cube. So if I try to drag this blue arrow, I can move this object upwards, right? And if you drag this blue arrows, I can move it to the right. The same if I drag this right arrows, I can move it back. Here are the circulars in here, so I can use the circular to try to rotate this cube with some directions, right? With some angles. And the center there has a kind of yellow block. If I hold my left mouse button, it's trying to hold and drag it, you could try to increase or decrease your models. You could also directly tap the numbers you want to skills in here. So here has a rectangle shape but made by some two triangle shape. If I click on here, I could just move this object to where that I want. So in here has a really small squares. If I trying to hold my left mouse and trying to drag it, what's going to happen? It's going to increase the size of the object with a single directions. So in here has three options: translation, rotation, scale. If I don't want to modify some of the data, I just can click it to enable that, to disable that. So I click it, it's become a green color, so I cannot rotate it anymore. I just can do the scale and translate. So here is a position. If I open that positions, I could directly enter the number of this. It doesn't matter if you disable or enable the translate rotate scales. You could still try to modify the angles of this object and also include translation scale. And in advanced, here is a choice like snap to the ground. However, we want the object we bring to the scenario always so let's click the snap to the ground. So we could bring this object to the ground, snap to the ground. Let's hit OK. Okay, we got this really weirded, like kind of floating object floating on the ground. We could also try to edit a ground plane, but it's really hard to tell where is the ground. So to make it obviously, let's try to give this to a materials on here. Or maybe we could, in the materials library, we could choose a metal part in here. So you could see a reflections of this object, right? We could also choose to edit another object like a sphere and other objects. So if we didn't want to have this geometry, let's just click a geometry and ask you, are you sure you want to clear the geometry? Let's hit it yes, but at this moment I just hit it no. So let's go into the preference. In here, interface has language. Default is English. If you don't know how to use English or you want to change to another language, just try into here, right? So here is a theme. Default is dark. You could also try to use a light mode, light theme. So in here, trying to disable the high DPI support to make our computer runs faster. And in here, history back buffer, let's give it 20, enters. In the geometries in here, please hit it, checked it. The show welcome window at the startup. So every time you open the keyshot, it could remember you recently modified the document. And here, pose real-time render after time. Let's keep it 50 minutes and sample 256 samples. So that's it. Let's hit it, save changes. In here, you need to try to keep the CPU 100%. And in here, performance mode. It's very funny, like try it. If you hit it performance mode, you could say the reflection of this object just disappeared. That means performance mode does not calculate any light environment reflection of the object. So if you in keyshot, you still stay in modified model stage, you could just enable the performance mode. It could be make your laptop runs very faster. But if you during a sighting, lighting or environment, let's just didn't hit it this button. Okay, so let's give this object materials. Let's give it blue, metal, right? In here, you could see a lot of noise on the object, also the ground. So if you just hit the D noise, what's going to happen? You could see a lot of noise on the object just disappear. This really depends when you use this denoise. Sometimes we wanted some noise on the surface. At the moment, you don't necessarily to be hit this noise. But if you have a really complex models in it, there's too many noises. You don't want to show too much noise. You just want to keep a very close surface. Let's just hit the denoise button. So in here, default is symbols. If you just hold your mouse left buttons, you could just rotate your scenario. If you choose to pen, you could move it, right? You could move it to where you want it. If you're trying to choose a dolly, that means you could zoom in or zoom out the scenario with the object. In here, perspective, let's just keep it 50%. If you want to render industrial products, if I just change to a 20 or 30, that's very suitable to make a transportation like a car. Okay, that's it. That's today's lesson. See you in next lessons. I will tell you how to use hotkey and basically mouse operate.